Discovering the Goddess Within. Today we're going to bring Michelle on, and she is going to talk about this particular subject, which I know so many are going to resonate, as we really come from like that masculine energy and swing over to that feminine energy and really find our center in owning that goddess within. So let me bring her on. So Michelle is one of our founding healers inside of our Quantum Illumination Reiki certification program. And Michelle.
Yes, hello.
Hi. Okay, again, IG's not letting me see you, but I can hear you, so we're rolling with it.
I guess I'm the invisible guest, but you're not talking to yourself.
It's so funny. I haven't watched back at any of the videos, but I'm sure it's so strange because I'm not looking at you guys at all, because I know you're like it's got mine and then yours, and I can't. Yeah, Stacey, I'm like you and I think Rachel and Sarah were the only ones I could see, and since then I just like nah. So amazing. As long as we can hear you, it's good.
Yeah, I'm like, what's going on? And then I was like, I'm nervous. Like, it's weird. I don't get interviewed. I interview. Usually it's me doing the interview. So when I'm being spun around, I'm like, I always wanted to know how it was to be spun around to that same level that I put people on. But then I'm like, oh, this is why they feel so nervous. This is why they feel like they're gonna, like poop themselves or something.
Okay, so my head is tingling. You're gonna be just fine, I promise. And like, I love this moment too. I'm so honored. Yay! I'm so excited to have this opportunity to share your gifts with the world. And I think that sometimes I think that no matter what you do at like each next level, it's almost like when we get to a specific place, we're like, oh, when I get to that specific place or when I do that thing, then I won't feel like I'm going to poop my pants. I haven't even shared with you guys what I'm doing in the fall yet. That I haven't pooped my pants yet, but I might when it gets closer. When I can share, I will share. But anyway,
Yeah.
It's always there. You just want to poop your pants less.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is I had to get out of that house prior. As I put in my stories, I went to Energy House down the road. And I needed to get out of the house.
Yeah.
I had woken up from a nightmare and I was like, oh, that's fun. And I'm like, no, we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna walk it off. Like walk it off.
Yeah.
And as I walked it off, I basically used what you taught us last week. I just was like, okay, like give me what I need, whether that's love, whatever it is I need while I'm walking, just do it.
Yeah.
Like, just do it. I'm gonna walk. I'm not gonna really think much. I had put my order in, and they had it done before I even got there. So
love it. I put my order in and it was done. Yes.
As soon as I put the order in, I was like, okay, cool.
Oh,
she's like, yeah.
So good. I love this. And I love that you're already using like the tools that have been provided even thus far. Like, it's like quantum field on notice. Here you go. Boom. And complete. Like energy transmission complete.
Well, and it's funny because I always get told or asked, like when I do crochet too. Like I do a lot of I'm not a one-trick pony, and that's a lot of the struggle that I have, is not being a one-trick pony. I'm like, how can't I just have it all in one business and just like be like that? And then a lot of people are like, no, you got to split it up. It has to be like Mimi's Crafts or like Sunflower Fields Divination, like things like that. So it's been a little rough for me, but one of the biggest accomplishments that I have is that I've made like 3 chakra blankets, and they have been all over the US
Yeah.
because my DJ friend buys them and then they disappear on him.
Because they do what it is that they're meant to do, and then it's just like, okay, now we're done. You know what? Are you a manifesting generator in human design?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
So like literally you like if you're a manifesting generator, I'm a Manny Gen too. And it's like Stacy says, "Oh, I want a chakra blanket." Ah,
I
yay!
have two on sale. Literally, I have two on sale.
So I love this so much. And like as a manifesting generator, like it is part of that's part of our gifts is to follow the energy, follow what's exciting, follow what lights us up. Like the amount of different programs and shifting and evolving that I've allowed myself to do is amazing. And most people, like, if they're not entrepreneur minded, they might not understand, and that's okay. But if they're not a Manny Gen, they might not even understand. Or like Stacey, Stacey, you're a projector, right? I think you're a projector. And like even as a projector, like Stacey has all kinds of like different ideas in her business and things like that.
I
So it's
love
like
it too. I've seen a lot of her different things, and I'm like, she has all the things. What the heck? This is
yeah,
awesome.
you get to have all the things, and I love this so much. So yeah, tell us about you. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you love to do inside of your business? Like, what's your big vision and mission in your business?
So, hi, my name is Michelle. I'm originally from Arizona, and I grew up there, and then now I'm in North Dakota. I have been doing divination and everything for a long time, like for 10 years. And so I have used divination for 10 years. I've been interested in all this stuff since I was like a kid. I laugh so hard at myself because when I say that, a lot of people are like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, way. Because I used to take the books my mom had, they were just dusty on the shelf. She wasn't using them. I took them and I put them in my backpack and I carried them. It was a dream. It was a dream interpretation book and how to tell your own future or something like that by Jane Stothers. And the rest is history. Literally, the rest is history. My biggest specialty as far as like my business goes is I really want to focus in on my coaching, which is the Flourishing Goddess program that you know about a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
then I have past life regression, age regression, and ancestral regression on top of that. So I love what I do. Like when I lean into it, I love what I do, no matter what it is.
This is so good. So you guys, like when you're watching our IG lives and you're like, dang, I want a session, like go hit these healers up. Like, oh my God, Michelle, past life regressions, like so good. Okay, so yeah, I would love to like really hone in. And of course, like if you're like, actually, I want the conversation to go this way, we could definitely steer it. But
Yeah.
I really would love to talk about like what led you into discovering your own inner goddess and what did that look like for you? And also like kind of before I go into that, something that's coming through is I like also want to remind people like there are like Michelle, such a unicorn. Like I don't think it's like super common that we realize as kids and we were given that permission to like really embody that the healer side of us, right? The star seed, the that soul essence. Like we come into this world knowing this, but a lot of the times through well-meaning adults it is shut down and we rediscover. So I think it's really awesome that you've been on this path since you were a child. And like a lot of the people that I work with, like it's very far and few between where most of us are like, oh yeah, I remember these things as a kid, but now as an adult, I'm like, oh, I get it, right?
Yeah. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's been a thing for a while. And
Good.
I love talking to people that remember and then they're like, "Well, I didn't even think that was a thing."
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
It's
it when
totally a
we
thing.
put names to things. That's the biggest thing is when you put a name to something that you've been doing for a long time. Because earlier this week. The cool thing about your quantum illumination Reiki, I gotta say this, and this is not to fluff anything. This is actually honest, stated truth.
Tell us.
My dragon, Fluffy, he came to me the other day and he goes, Mom, you're already doing that. He's like, what you taught us recently. He goes, you're already doing that. Because you just didn't have a name to what you were doing. You were already doing that. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he goes, yeah, just keep learning. It's going to get better. Like knowing what it is versus not knowing what it is and just doing it. It's one thing to know that you're working with a screwdriver than not at all and just thinking you're working with a stick. That's the way he put it to me. So I was like, okay, I'll give it that because how things are sometimes.
Yeah, and it's like putting an intentionality behind something. I remember like even one of my soul gifts is I'm an activator. So I activate your soul codes and your abilities just naturally through my essence. And I remember the first time it happened and we put a name to it and then it was like all of a sudden it was like flooding in of like, oh, I've been doing this, right? I've always done this. And so I think a lot of you guys that are going through our program is you're going to start realizing that this gift was there all along, but you didn't like it. Now you're connecting the dots.
Yeah. And that's what I love about discovering stuff like that because it's a game changer when you know. A lot of people are like, well, if you put a label on it, then you're putting a label on yourself. And I go, well, kinda, but kinda not. Kinda, but kinda not.
Yeah.
Like when I discovered that I have DID, I discovered that and I was like, oh, that makes sense. I go, okay, there's a name for it. I never knew there was a name for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And when it comes to like our abilities and things, it helps us be able to share that more in like the 3D realm because it's like we're up and doing like all these things in like 5D, like la la land. And it's like, okay, well, let's come down to planet Earth. What is it that I'm actually doing and how can I share with people how I support them, right?
Exactly. That's what I've been trying to figure out for a long time because I think I've done so much to stop myself. And this is going into the whole goddess part of it, like finding my inner goddess. When you were starting to mention that earlier, I kept hearing you rediscover her all the time. And right before we did this live, I actually asked my flower deck what card I needed, and I got Narcissus. And I was like, I give myself like this like eye roll and I'm like, okay, what's this about? And self-love. Literally the key word was self-love. And I think that's the biggest part of finding my goddess and being able to find who I am on the inside. And it's hard sometimes because a lot of the time I am working through a bunch of like my past yelling at me and going, you're this, like you're not what you think you are. And so like I go into believing that for a little bit and then I come back up and it's a not a journey for the faint of heart. When I tell people to look into the flourishing goddess, I go, just know that this journey is not for the faint of heart. Like this is rough stuff. I'm asking you rough things and we're going through a bunch of stuff. Me and my best friend are literally going through the program. She's 3 months in now, almost 3 months in. And her life has changed dramatically. Yeah.
Yeah.
And those things, I think it's a good thing that you're kind of pivoting the hard part. And it's not a bad thing because that's what a lot of people, when they say it's hard, like it's hard like a rock and you can't get past it. You can't pick it up. You can't, like I'm holding a green, I think it's adventurine or something.
Oh my God, I wish I could see you. It's driving me bananas.
Holding a green adventurine. So this to me, lightweight. But
Yeah.
maybe to you, this weighs 10 pounds. You're like, I don't know what's in this thing, Crystal, but it's 10 pounds. Why is it 10 pounds? Maybe it has, if it's 10 pounds, it probably has to work with you more.
Yeah.
Because if it's like a pound or not even, like, I feel like this is probably maybe a pound. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. It's like, that situation that had felt hard or, the current situation, it's like, well, that just means that there's something there. There's something there to work through. And it's like go through, be bougie and get a helicopter and fly over the fucking rock or.
Or something.
Yeah.
Or be an artist and chisel your way through it. Because the thing
Yeah.
is, everyone wants instantaneous. Everyone wants instantaneous. I want the instant statue that makes me look like a Greek goddess. Well, sorry, honey, it's not always going to work that way.
Yeah. What I love to say and what's coming through right now is that like the work that you're doing is not normal. And I say this like all the time. I'm like, people aren't out there doing like, oh my God, let me look at the shadow work and figure out, or let me do the shadow work, or let me look at this heavy shit that's in the way and let me like alchemize into the beautiful goddess. Like
Sometimes they don't
literally,
even.
right? It's like literally the 1%. And I'm like, lovingly, you're a little bit crazy. And we love that. We love that because on the other side is power. On the other side is like lightness and ease. And it gets to be so much better, right?
Yeah. I
So when you're,
It was high.
so when you're taking them through the flourishing goddess, what is it like? What's the big mission and vision that you have for them? Like once they're complete, like what's the vibe that they're going to be in? What is it that you're seeing for them?
It depends on the person. It really depends on the person and what they come in with. If they come in with, like, maybe you come in and you're like, Michelle, I am a hot mess express. I have anxiety and I'm running after my kids and I'm having all that. I'm like, okay, so like my vision for you is that you're gonna like be calmer and maybe yeah, you're chasing after your kids, but you're not chasing after them because they're being little pains in your butt. Like you're chasing after them because you're like, hey, let's play tag.
Yeah.
Something different. And that's I I see for them what they hope to see in themselves.
So good.
And
So it's their own goddess energy. I love that. And like I say this like in my Untamed Healer program, where it was like, well, I can't be confident like you. And I'm like, I'm a Gemini sun, Aries rising. Like the confidence or the energy that I have is going to be very different than someone that comes in as like for you example as a Pisces or somebody who is very grounded in like Virgo or a Taurus. Like it's the energy is different and that's amazing. And I love that we have so many different aspects of ourselves where it's like you get to have the outcome and the vision that is in alignment with your soul and for you, like for your goddess, right?
you just had something hit my brain that I wasn't expecting to hit. Because when you said Virgo, I was like, oh, she picked up on my chart. I'm a Virgo midhaven, which explains why I do the things the way that I do is because I love being an organized mess. I'm an organized mess.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to other people's things, I'm like, okay, so you want to do this. Okay, what's the big thing? The big things I want to grow a business. Okay, well, what are the steps to that? I don't know. Well, maybe you need to get, research. Maybe you need to research, business plan, things like that. And like I do all this research. I'm very like detail oriented and focused in on, hey, like there has to be smaller steps. That way you're not going, oh, by the end of the 6 months, you're not like, oh, I didn't do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm some well, like the certification program, and I'm sure this is true for like the Flourishing Goddess because it's a 6 month program. Like the certification program was almost a 4 year work of art, right? A body of work. Same with like Rising Phoenix, like that one took a year to create. But then like Untamed, I was like, let's fucking go. Like this is ready, let's go. But it's, it gets to be like either yeah, this needs to sit in a shelf and like let the energy accumulate, let the energy grow. Like
I think
words,
that's what's
words
happening
with
for it.
energy. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then other things, it's like, yeah, let's just put this out into the world because there's a reason I have energy around it, especially you as a Manny Gen. Like Manny Gens are like, I see the energy and I move. Where it's like, I'm too, like there must be something in my chart too, where it's like, we've got to have some kind of organization, or maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's just because MTI, wife life and mom life, but it's like, see the thing. Okay, let me make sure it's a yes and then go. So yes, I love this. So
well, yeah.
what what do you think has changed for you stepping into like the that goddess energy for you?
For myself, I feel like stepping into it has actually changed a lot. It had, well, when I started to learn about it. So let's go back to when I learned about it and became certified for it. So the flourishing goddess wasn't made by my teacher. My teacher taught us like a basic 6 month pillar of, hey, this is what you can put into it, and you can keep the questions, keep everything, keep basically the blueprint, but do whatever you want with it. And I was like, okay. So I had all this like tools and everything. I went through the program as if my teacher was running it, and it was hard for me. It took a longer time than 6 months. And so for me, I was like, okay, I wanted to build something that I knew I would be proud of a year later. And so I did. So I
That
did. And
that
I'm still
that's
proud
goddess
of.
energy. That's like let me reclaim myself.
And it's one of those things, the first round that I did, I think I laughed because you said something a few months back. I don't know what video you said it was, but you're like, I burned my business to the ground. And I go, oh, that sounds familiar. It sounds like after the first round of the Flourishing Goddess for me, I got really mad. Like I got mad. I was mad about that testimonial not going through, and I burned the whole thing. Like, I burned the whole thing. I deleted all my content, like, all the content that I had for it. Ba-boom, baby, it's gone. And I started to cry because at the end, I had goddesses working with me at that time. And the goddesses that I was working with Hera, Hestia, Aphrodite, and Artemis. And then toward the end, Hecate came in, but she didn't come in until after everyone was gone. And then she's like, burn it to the ground. And I'm like, Hecate,
We love
like
her.
what?
I
Why do I need to, why did you come in with your torch and go, the party's just starting? She's like, the party's just starting, and she burned it. And I was like, I'm like, what am I supposed to do now?
yes. I love her energy. I love working with her. She actually came to me too after I burnt my 6 figure piece of my healing business to the ground. I was like, light the match, burn it to the ground. I don't care because, at the end of the day, you have to follow your own soul. You have to follow what's in alignment for you, right? And she comes in with power and she's just like, it's almost like a come here. And then it's like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, and that's how it felt. And I was like, okay, like, and then I went through this whole journey of like 4 months, and I'm like, am I gonna do it? Am I not gonna do it? Am I gonna do it? Am I not gonna do it? And she's like, come on, stop floundering. And she's like, oh yeah, by the way, Flourishing Goddess is your best friend's, Christmas gift. And I'm like, what the I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. I'm like, I've known Miranda since sixth grade. I'm like, and I didn't realize. It took me working with her. I think Hecate needed me to be reminded. Sit down, little girl. You need to be reminded. You need to be reminded that you've been a coach since you were in sixth grade. Like my best friend's like, yeah, you've been coaching me my whole life. I'm a testimonial, period. She's like,
Yeah. Oh, I
and I
love that.
was like, what?
I love that. That is exactly what it's like working with Hecate. She's like, sit down and let me remind you. Oh, ooh, that one gave me chills. Oh my gosh. Okay, this has been so much fun. Have you learned Reiki before joining our certification program?
So here's the funny thing. Yes, I have. I actually have learned regular Reiki, but I never got certified. Like I grabbed it, I liked it for a little bit, and then something was like, this is not a toy I want to play with.
Ah,
I don't know what it was. Like I think my inner child came in and was like, not that toy.
I
So I'm like, okay, cool.
love
So
it. Oh my gosh. What was it about quantum illumination that made you're like, yeah, I'm in? Because I know we had a conversation around it a little bit, and then you're like, okay, that's it, I'm in. What was it about? What was it? What was that shift for you?
it felt more aligned with fairy energy.
Ooh, so good. And what have you
But
noticed so far?
I've noticed a lot as far as like changes in how like I look at what I do, as far as how I look at what I do and what I've done in my healing journey as well is like, okay, so this is just kind of a, hey, this is a soother rather than we're gonna rip the bandage off and like open your wound and be like, hey, let's see what's in there. Is there a spider? It's like, no, like it
I
doesn't
love
feel like that.
it's so funny because I keep hearing the same theme from everyone, which is the depth, but it's soothing. Hey, Louise. Yeah, the
Yeah,
depth, but it's soothing. Like it's soothing to your nervous system. It's like, I don't know why this was just shown to me so gross, but it's almost like, oh, like a surgeon came in and took the scalpel on your leg and was like, let's just see what's in there.
that's literally what I saw as I was
Wow.
saying that. It's like that's exactly it. And it's kind of funny you said that because I have a like I have my foot. My foot had a surgery like back in 2018. So it's kind of funny.
Okay. Well, I think my psychic senses have been amplifying even more recently. And so it's so funny. I'm just like blurting out what I'm seeing lately. And everyone's like, oh my God, how did you know that? I'm like, I don't know. We don't explain our gifts with words. We just show through
You
like
know
experience,
what
right?
you know what you know. And
Exactly.
that's how I look at it because I always like teaching. I like teaching as well, so it's kind of funny. I laugh at myself because a lot of people are like, "Yeah, go back to asking yourself what you wanted to be when you were a kid." And I go, "Well, I wanted to be two things. I wanted to be a writer and I wanted to be a teacher." And I do both. I do
Yeah.
both. I
Oh my God, I love that.
enjoy
Nanny
teaching
Jen
people.
vibe.
Yeah, no, I enjoy teaching people. I have taught mediumship. Believe it or not, it's funny. I've taught mediumship.
Oh God. I love
So
this. So, what are you most excited about with quantum illumination, Reiki, to bring it with your or to your clients?
I am excited to see what it brings to the table, honestly, because I know that I already do good things as well, but I feel like it's gonna just be like a magnifying glass
Mm.
rather than like instead of overshadowing, it doesn't feel like it's going to overshadow what I'm already doing. It's just going to be like a magnifying glass, like, hey, so like, look, you're already doing it. Like, look, you got it. You're already doing it.
Yes. So I love that, like a magnifying glass. Yeah, because like I love to integrate quantum illumination into all my programs because it is exactly that. It's like, I mean, it's an illuminator, literally. It's an illuminator.
Yeah, it's not supposed to, like, I don't feel like it's supposed to, like, overshadow you and be like, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
No, like, it's like, no, let's, like, this is cool. Let's bring this up a little bit more. Let's turn the volume up a little.
Yeah. Oof, so good. If somebody was on the fence about joining, what would you say to them?
I would say, what are you waiting for? Like, what are you really waiting for? What are you really afraid of? What is there to be afraid of, honestly? The fact that you teach on such a level of being like fun, fairy like that, like every time I see your face, no matter, it doesn't matter if it's your videos where you're kind of like, hey, quantum illumination Reiki, hey, it's here, it's here, it's here. I just get fairy vibes. I always get fairy vibes, and I'm like, okay, she's a fairy. She's a
That's
fairy. I go, there's no ands, ifs, or buts about it, and that's okay. Because we all need fairies in our lives. We all need fairies in our lives one way or another.
I love that you say this because my mentor has said this to me multiple times. She's like, you're just like a little fairy, like all over the place. And I'm like, oh my God, I love you. In the meantime, I hop into my Jeep and I jam out to rock music. And then we float around in the quantum field like little fairies. So good. And then Louise says, the gentle, deeper shifts are going to be epic. The time is now, girlies. Ah! You guys are
Yeah,
so amazing.
it is.
Amazing. Is there anything else that's coming through for you that you're like, somebody needs to hear this, whether it's live or on the replay?
Don't forget who you are. Wow, that was strong. Don't forget who you are. I think we often, it's like I said earlier about feeling like you're on cloud nine. Like you'll be on cloud nine for a few minutes and then something in your life happens. But don't forget that feeling when you're on cloud nine because that cloud nine feeling is who you are. That cloud nine feeling is who you are like at a soul level. Like don't forget her or him or them. It don't forget that because
Yeah.
as soon as you forget that, you're it's like deactivating your system. Like it's like shutting down. It's like shutting it off. And I feel like a lot of people that are awakening right now are just one like literally when you're awakening, it's sometimes the awakenings are hard. Sometimes they're like a hard like shift. It's a
Yeah.
hard roller coaster. And so I think a lot of people go into shutdown, like let's hit the restart button, let's hit the shutdown button on the computer. And it's like don't forget who you are though, because if you shut down, the world needs you regardless.
Yeah.
Don't stay in fear. That's the biggest thing that I'm picking up is like don't stay in your fear.
My head is tingling. That felt channeled. And I just, yeah, it's like always that joy coming back to your soul. That is your soul. That's your soul singing. And, it's like that good feeling. It's funny because it's so funny, the synchronicity. Because I was actually talking to my husband because I love the grounded spiritual approach, like where Louise, yes, you're a fairy energy. Oh my God. But we were like, the grounded spiritual approach, because you're high vibrating, still having a human experience, we have to remember we have a human brain too, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I've been like really diving into like the dopamine side of things for the past several months, but really like awareness. I haven't talked about this publicly, but like really aware in the last month of my own patterns and just like Stacey, my phone just switched to SOS mode for no reason. I can't see anybody that I'm interviewing, so it's fine, Mercury. But yeah, it's just like being aware of those patterns of like when you're feeling good, like in a
Yeah,
natural sense, not from like doom scrolling, right? But like in a way that feels good, that's you and your soul essence.
yeah, and enjoy yeah. And the thing that what's weird is as you were talking, I kept hearing the breathing of Darth Vader. And Darth Vader, though he is the evil prime lord, right?
Hmm.
He was born for that role.
Yeah.
He was born for that role. And you see that from the beginning. Like
Hmm.
even in the small intricacies, he was born for that role. Yes, a lot of people see him as dark, but he was hurting.
Yeah.
He was protecting himself. Why do you think the whole suit is black? This is why I laugh because I'm wearing a shirt that says there's a little witch in everybody. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, you know, I feel my Uncle Chris just like chiming in with the Darth Vader reference, and I laugh so hard because my Uncle Chris loved Star Wars, and I'm like, I miss him so much, but he's right because like what I'm hearing is like he was born for that role, but just because he is evil in perception of everybody else, he's just protecting himself.
Yeah. 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 Just like that, enjoying like who you are. And I love that Louise just like echoed this back. Don't forget who you are. That it was beautiful. Oh, so good. Thank you so much, Michelle, for joining us. Where is the best place for people to come hang out with you?
They They can find me on here. I have my website, which is basically my username.com.
Okay. It's in your bio?
So I think so. If
Okay.
it's not, I can update that. But I think everything is pretty well set, and I'm excited to see what comes up in the next few weeks.
Yeah. Thank you so much. You guys go hang out with Michelle. Michelle, thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate you. And I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.
You too. Have a
Thank
nice one.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, amazing. You guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us as always. I will put Michelle's handle in the caption. If you're listening on the podcast, will be in the show notes. You guys can go hang out with her too and check out her offers. Whatever you're feeling aligned for, shoot her a DM, let her know, let us both know what your favorite part is about what we chatted about today. My face hurts from like smiling and laughing. You guys are just like such a gift to this world, and it's been so much fun to be able to share with you guys. If you haven't heard or watched anybody else's interviews, unlike me putting a mic in the hand of powerful healers literally all across the world, go listen. There are some, like, you guys are so badass. Like, such an honor. And if you guys want to come hang out with us inside of our certification program for quantum illumination Reiki, the doors close. What is it, Wednesday? The doors close on the 31st of March for our founders round. This means you are the first in the world to learn quantum illumination Reiki, and you'll be able to hang out with all of us who are inside of us, inside as well. The community is actually so beautiful, so supportive. And yeah, DM me if you have any questions. You also have the option to add on our Embody Retreat, which is in Tulum, Mexico. So this is going to be really deepening the embodiment of you as a woman and a healer that you know you're here to be, and also deepening the facilitation of quantum illumination Reiki in an in-person capacity and in a spiritual vortex. Tulum, if you've never been, is literally like, do some research around it. The energy is, you can't even put it into words. It's where all the good people are. You guys are literally like, the energy is unfreaking matched in there. Oh my God. I'm like, I'm like, I spend hours in there just like scrolling through everybody's comments because it's so epic. So anyway, I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you have the most amazing day, and I will see you in the DMs if you are ready for our certification program.